Notes McGotes Podcast with your hosts, Brandon Alberta and Steve Madole. I hope you put your heavy-duty denim on, because this podcast is a knee slapper.
What is up, everybody? That's right, I am Brandon, and I'm here with Steve, and welcome to the Notes McGotes Podcast. We are an album review podcast where we listen to an album and give our hilariously honest opinion on what the hell we just heard. So, Steve, what are we talking about today, sir?
Oh, hey, what's going on? Today we are talking about Hamilton. Yes, Hamilton, the awesome soundtrack for the musical. Released September 25th, 2015, 5 years ago.
That's crazy.
When we used to do things in theaters and stuff. Now we just watch them on TV and have a lot of fun, or listen to the soundtrack and hope that we're there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, have you seen Hamilton on stage?
Yes, I have actually seen Hamilton personally on stage. We saw it at a traveling show. Unfortunately, I was not able to see it in New York. Boo. But no, we did see it I think last year.
Nice.
Before all the 2020
Before COVID
happened. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it was fantastic. It was awesome. I mean, I've watched the Disney Plus version of it. Can we say Disney Plus?
Super good. Yeah, heck yeah.
Hey, look at that. We said Disney Plus.
Yay.
So
not a sponsor yet.
Not a sponsor. Damn it.
Yet.
Come on, Disney. No, I've seen the Disney Plus one probably 2 or 3 times. I'm pretty sure I sat at the TV and hoped that Jonathan Groff did spit on me.
Wouldn't that just be lovely?
Yes, I think I would quite enjoy that for a half a minute and not be grossed out.
Right.
But, maybe grossed out.
Did you know that the whole Disney Plus thing was actually, they did part of it, they recorded part of it with a live audience, and then all the upfront facial ones was in an open, like nobody was in the crowd. It was
kind of like what we would have now.
Yeah, literally what we would have now.
Yeah, I did hear that. Like they were, and it was interesting because they recorded the parts through the crowd to get the crowd interaction. The parts they didn't record was after a show, so they did a whole show.
Right.
And then everybody left except for people that were actually there.
Right. And
they did another show, and then they did it the next day, and then another show. Like they did it over a couple of nights without anybody being there, but. I can't really imagine that Lin-Manuel Miranda had to go to the cast and go, guys, I had a great idea. This is what we're going to do.
Right.
Might not be paying you any more extra for this, but we're going to do this like 4 times in the next 2 days. Cool? Cool. All right, let's go.
Right. So for those people who don't know, Steve, do you have a background of what the musical actually is about? Like, what is Hamilton?
It is a take on the founding of America, really. I mean, as told through hip-hop music, something that you wouldn't think old white guys would really be involved with, but as our country is founded by very old white men, and not by people in this cast that are not very old white men, except for maybe Jonathan Groff. But it goes through kind of starts from pre-Revolutionary War times all the way through Constitution, Declaration of Independence, going all the way through to the early 1800s, actually. So it spans probably about 30, 40 years. I would kind of just throw a number at it, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. So let's get now into a little bit of the music here. So I'm just looking at the soundtrack right now. There are 46 tracks. 46. But if you think about it, that's literally the entire
musical
show.
Yeah.
Because
2.5 hours long.
There's no actual story outside of music. Like there's no talking. It's all through it's all told through song.
Yeah, there's no dialogue. It's
right.
all. I mean, the dialogue is the song. So that's the great thing about musicals. And if you are a theater nerd, I find just even throwing the soundtrack on, you can see what's going on in your head. You basically run through the whole thing. My family and I would do the same thing. We can actually interact the entire musical just by listening to a song.
Right.
And some of the ones we probably shouldn't as a family. Because
right. Where does this rank on your musical
all-time
list?
musicals? or like musical, like where
I
am
mean, like, yeah, like, is this in like a top 5, top 3?
I would say top 3. I mean, anything. I would say anything that Lin-Manuel Miranda touches is almost top 3, just because it's.
Except in my opinion, whenever he opens up his mouth to sing,
Like,
he can stop doing that.
you don't like him singing?
No,
Really?
Honestly, I don't. I don't.
Oh my God.
I think he is hot garbage when he sings.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, he's a wonderful composer
And lyricist.
I mean, Hamilton,
Really? I mean,
Moana, great lyricist and composer. But I can't.
We're gonna trash Moana now.
He
Look at
can
this.
stop. No.
kids.
We'll get to Moana at some point.
Oh, yes, we
probably,
will.
But not right now.
Coming for it, Rock.
So, but yeah, no, I'm not a fan. I
Really?
think the cast itself, the surrounding cast around him, did a lot better. In my opinion.
Okay. I would agree.
I think they supported him. They built him up.
Yes.
A little bit.
I would say he's kind of the straw that serves the drink a lot of times with most of the songs, because I mean he did write most of them, so it kind of works out.
Right.
But I would agree that he is not my favorite lyricist in this story or in the play at all. I mean, I feel like because he is one of the only actors that plays one character, because if you're not familiar with the play or the theater, most theater productions, you don't just play one character, especially in musicals. And Hamilton is no different. A lot of actors actually play 2 characters. So to have them play multiple characters and do multiple songs and come at it from a different angle, I think that shows a lot about some of these other actors that are on here.
Right.
And I will agree with you. Lin-Manuel just does Hamilton. He is just Hamilton.
Yeah.
But I think also he is Hamilton. Like,
I mean, if I were to write my own musical, I'd put myself as the lead too.
it makes sense.
It does make sense. No.
I can't fault the guy for it.
Right. But the original cast is legit.
Oh,
like
top to bottom.
Top, the best of the best.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, a lot of them, if you are a fan of musicals, and then maybe not a fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda, however, a lot of these people are actually in his kind of repertoire troupe that follow around with him.
Right.
If you're familiar with In the Heights, which was his first musical on Broadway, phenomenal, amazing. Again, you don't like Lin-Manuel Miranda, I guess.
I like Lin-Manuel Miranda.
His voice.
It's just you gotta get used to. You just gotta get used to it.
Okay, I feel you. No, I understand.
But nonetheless, like it's a human voice. It's like it seemed just like more untrained than some of these other ones. It's more authentic. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I can almost feel like his love for the theater.
Yeah.
Like in everything he does, like a lot of things that he does, even the lyrics that he wrote. But there's a lot of different like subtext in a lot of these things, and like watching the play and seeing how they do things and how the story is told, it's amazing. And even In the Heights was the same way. It's the way he can tell a story for, I would say, even people that aren't theater nerds like myself, and I know you are as well.
Yeah.
So we both will just sit and watch theater, don't care. I mean, we've probably watched some pretty stinkers of plays. We've probably been in some pretty stinkers of plays.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the ones I acted in, I was pretty much of a stinker in a play. It just is.
Absolutely.
But didn't stop me from doing it and doing a thing. But with him, you don't see people that would go to a theater very often and listen to hip hop.
Right.
People weren't paying before Hamilton. People weren't paying thousands of dollars to go see a play that was all hip hop, especially white people. Looking at you, Mike Pence. You weren't going to see.
Right.
I mean, hey, he was at one.
Yeah.
And it didn't go well. But it just speaking as the white dude. I mean, we both are pretty much white dudes.
We are pretty much white.
Very, very white dudes.
Yeah.
Very pale. But however, this keyed into my love of hip hop and rap music, and brought in kids that normally like this music but haven't been introduced to theater before.
Right.
So I think it was groundbreaking because you had it break down so many doors and so many walls that it got kids interested in theater and history. I mean, if I'm not only a theater buff, I'm also a history buff. I love history. I love going to museums and things like that. And this just made it cool.
Yeah.
Like, it made it cool.
It did, for sure. Yeah, I saw this show 2 years ago, and I was a little hesitant about it, only because of the hip hop. I'm like, I like hip hop, but I don't want to spend the whole show trying to think about what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, and I'm sure at this point everybody has seen it, and if you haven't, you need to.
Yeah, stop what you're doing right now. Put us on pause. Go watch it. Come back. We'll be here hanging out.
And I'll just say too, the way that they speak and they rap, you understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They emphasize what you need to understand to get through the story.
Yes, I believe, and I also believe the style of the music isn't it's almost like a throwback to 90s hip hop, or even late 80s hip hop, where it's not always about the speed of what's being said, but it's how it flows. Everything flows really well, and it's not mumbled.
Right.
The actors and the actresses that sing, the musicians that are on this album and in this musical, top-notch, phenomenal. The things that they can do and pronunciate and get out in a live aspect. I mean, because doing this recording is something else, but all these were recorded live. So to have it be live and be able to experience it at a play, if you've ever been to a rap concert, you don't really know what the hell the person's saying half the time because it's loud, it's crazy. But to do this live and have it be able to be understood all the time and know what's going on is just, I can't say anything better about it than it's just straight phenomenal.
It is straight phenomenal. Is there, so obviously Hamilton is like the lead, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
Is there who's the standout character for you outside of
Oh man, you're gonna put me on it because there's so many.
There really are. I mean, we can do like a top 3 or top 5 even because there's so many.
So if I had to go top 5, for me, Lin-Manuel Miranda is number 1 for me. I have to throw him in there because he is the lead. He is the straw that stirs the drink for everything, the whole play. Mm-hmm. Leslie Odom Jr. is really 1B. He plays Aaron Burr. Yeah. He's the only other really actor that plays one character, and he plays them all the way throughout. And just how him and Lin-Manuel and Hamilton mesh or don't mesh throughout this entire play, and things that you don't pick up on, you have to actually go back and see and listen to again how they come together is just awesome. So Leslie Odom Jr. is probably my 2. Yeah. I am a Chris Jackson fan. Love Chris Jackson, who plays George Washington. Yep. I think that he brought the character into just so much more depth than what we know about George Washington being kind of a stiff old white dude. He portrayed him very well and still brought in a lot of the historical references from Washington himself. Number 3 for me. 4 would be Daveed Diggs, who is hilarious. Not only just because but also is the fastest rapper.
Oh, yeah.
Like as Lafayette and as Thomas Jefferson, but brings some levity to the whole play and both ways, really serious, but also really funny. And just his comedic timing is the best of everyone else. And then I want to go Philippa Sue. I want to bring in one of the ladies, but I can't. I have to go Jonathan Goff. Just because, he's so good. If you don't know Jonathan Goff is a phenomenal actor. Groff. Sorry.
You're football.
Yeah, sorry. I was going football. No, Groff with an R. He's a phenomenal actor and voice actor, but he also voices Kristoff in Frozen. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. I did.
I mean, you've got little girls, so
I do have little girls
Frozen more often than not.
More often, yes.
So, I mean, that's kind of my top 5. You got Lin-Manuel, Leslie Odom, Chris Jackson, Daveed Diggs, and Jonathan Groff. Yeah. Get that out there, right? Yeah. So, what about you? What are your top 5?
I think I'm going to try to get away from Hamilton, even though he's up there. But I think my number 2 is going to go to Leslie Odom Jr. He's just so good with the words, and it's smooth. It's super nice. I've always liked him. I think number 3 for me is going to be Philippa Sue. Yeah, she's just she's an amazing vocalist, an amazing actress, and the way that she portrays Eliza is just phenomenal. She brings you to tears
every time.
Every time.
Or pisses you off. Like you feel she actually brings the most emotion to this thing. Like you feel when she's angry, you feel when she's mad, you want to be mad, you want to be angry, you want to be sad.
Right.
And just not even like looking at her, you look at her and she portrays it all, but just her voice and it just like, oh man, she's so like just fierce.
For sure. So I think is that number 2 or number 3?
That was number 2, number 3.
That was number 2. Okay, and then number 4, I'm gonna go Daveed Diggs. I mean, the dude. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much just said it all. Yep. That's just how that's good. Yep. And then, and then to round it out, I am gonna go with Jonathan Groff. He brings you out of the hip hop realm and brings you into this very rigid, very elegant, very psychotic king. And just, I mean, he literally just stands in the center of the stage and sings. And Jonathan Groff's voice is amazing. Like, it's so good. So yeah, I would put him at number 5 for me. But I don't think you can go wrong with anybody.
Did you know, so same thing, King George. So Jonathan Groff was actually, I think, the 3rd actor to play King George.
I think you're right.
Number 2 is one of my top 5 actors in Broadway is Andrew Rannells.
Oh, yeah,
Andrew Rannells was also the lead in Book of Mormon. He's been in a few things.
Yep.
Fabulous actor. And just super... He actually will be mad about this. Super gay, and loves it. Like, but he has this just amazing like stage presence.
Yeah,
and he's hilarious. There are some actually fun videos. If you haven't watched, you follow Hamilton on any social media. There's a couple of fun videos where Jonathan Groff, Andrew Rannells, and there's another guy, another actor, maybe the first person to play King George. They sing the Schuyler Sisters song.
Oh, I saw that
as
video.
Them.
Yeah, just kind of like out on the
patio,
patio.
On the sidewalk, and then they have like Philippa Sue walk by and play like Aaron Burr, and they just did a whole complete gender swap of all the songs.
Right.
But those 3 dudes sold it as the women, and they played really well. It was funny. I mean, it's hilarious. Great. But Jonathan Groff, he does play the psychotic king that also is like kind of hurt at the same time.
He is very hurt.
But it's so good. Just there's nothing that you can't say anything bad about any of them. But Groff is he's so good.
Speaking of bad, we're gonna go from good to bad here. The bad. So there's 46 tracks. Is there a bad one?
Is there a bad one? One of my issues with musicals is the reprise, and the reprise that happens quite frequently. The one thing that I probably could get away from and be okay with not having so many times is the 10 Dual Commandments.
Oh yeah.
I like it the first time, but then I think they do it 2 or 3 times all together, and it just it gets old. That's probably my least favorite. I mean, looking over the track list and kind of just going through, I mean, there's so much that's just there. That's kind of there's so much you can't cut away. I mean, there's I guess not great, but not bad.
Right.
It's hard for me to say something is bad because every song builds on the other, and you have to have it to get there.
Yep.
What about you?
I agree.
Have a bad one?
I don't know what it is about this song. I don't know if it's not the vocals, because these 3 women are amazing and they sing it very well together.
I know you're picking.
But there's something about Helpless that I cannot wrap my mind around, and I don't know what it is. It's not my thing. But if that song wasn't there, again, just like you said, it's a piece that doesn't flow.
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, and funny for Helpless for me was I didn't realize with the rewind in Helpless,
Yeah.
like listening to that song before I actually saw it in person, it's really hard to actually know what's going on.
Yeah.
But when you see it in person, you actually do see them rewind the stage, and it goes backwards. And to see the actors and the dancers and all the people on stage like hold
literally
poses,
rewind,
literally go backwards. Yeah, and like it took that, and I had listened to the album 30-40 times before I even saw it live. But then I saw it and I was just like, oh, okay, now I get it. But I'm with you. That one is, I mean, I thought you were going to go Skylar Sisters. Like, I thought that's what I thought you were going.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's all right. That one's all right.
Oh, okay.
Is there a standout song for you that's like, whenever it shows up whenever it's on shuffle, pops up and you're just like, this is my jam?
Guns and Chips.
Yeah, man.
Guns and Chips. Just because it's so raw.
Yep.
And David just goes.
Yeah, he does.
That one, or What Did I Miss? Because just the comedic on that one, like with Jefferson getting back, and the couple of digs that Jefferson, when he says he brings up his slave woman's name, and then he's got to leave again, but like with the person he had the affair with, all the kids, and like they mix that in, right? But like just those two, I mean, like Guns and Ships is just it's so good, and it's so fast.
It is so
and
fast.
It's just like gets you pumped up. It's one of the ones you can like go and run to and be like, oh yeah. It's
right.
only like a minute and a half long, but
right.
It's fantastic.
I think for me, I've got two. First one is The Room Where It Happens.
Okay.
Just the beat to it. It's just,
yes.
I like that beat, just how it flows. It's nice. It's my ringtone on my phone.
Really?
It is.
Oh.
It's super nice. So when someone calls me and I have it on, when it's not on vibrate, you just get The Room Where It Happens.
Ringtones now. Look at you.
I know it. But I think the one that comes in either second or just like 1B, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story, the finale of the musical.
Okay.
So this is episode number 1. People are still gonna get used to you and me a little bit. So both of us are dads.
Yes,
right?
yes.
We're
are dads.
We're both dads, and you think about this song, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. It literally talks about leaving a legacy. What legacy are you leaving? And for me as a dad, it's like, okay, well, what kind of legacy am I going to leave for the future? Like, what things can I instill in my family for the future, for generations to come? Like, what is that gonna look like? So I think for me, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Their Story, it's so raw. It's right at the end. Hamilton has died. It's
a fantastic wrap up.
It is everything. It encapsulates everything. It says where everybody kind of went and did.
Yeah, it covers like 20, 30 years, like all by itself.
It does, and then all of a sudden, it just ends on this. Literally, the way that Philippa Sue or whoever is Eliza at the very end, literally when she says those last words, just it sucks the air right out of the room, and you're just left jaw dropped, tears coming down your eyes. At least it was for me.
Oh yeah,
you're just like, what? You're really hoping that wasn't the end, but then all of a sudden it is, and you're just like, holy shit, like that was amazing. Yeah. So
I'm with you there. I like that one too, just because it does tie everything kind of in a nice bow, even though it's not that nice of a bow. I mean, it's still kind of the world sucks. They don't shy away from the fact that the world still sucks and that you don't get enough time to do what you should be doing. And it's mentioned in that song. If you had more time, you should have had more time.
Right.
You could have done so much more. And so it's kind of a reminder as a dad. And I mean, younger dude, but still not, that you don't get time. You don't get all the time in the world to do what you want. You make most of what you got, and who are they going to remember you for while you're here? And
right.
So it does hit home a little bit for that, but it's Philip Sue again, just phenomenal. Just
Yeah.
makes you want to like go and research and look up. And I have. But again, history nerd, fully this guy.
Right.
So like I have actually gone and looked up some of those things, and I'm also a foster adopt dad. So like the things I talked about with the orphanage, I was very interested in that. So like I went and looked that stuff up because that key to me personally. So
For sure.
looking over just different stuff. I mean, looking at this thing, you get 2.5 hours of music. So there's stuff you can go either way on what. Okay, so for those not familiar with musicals, it's usually in sometimes 2, sometimes 3 acts. Couple things. Do you have a favorite song, first act, second act? Did you like the first act more than the second act? Like, what was your kind of your takeaway there? Like, did you prefer one or the other? The first act is basically up to Revolutionary War into the ending of that, and then the second act is basically Hamilton trying to get the Constitution passed,
Right.
and get like our country figured out. Like he was very, very integral in getting our country taken care of. But so the first act was super violent-ish and action-packed. The second act is like the ho-hum, how do we do things, even though there's more that happens in the second act.
Yeah. So what was your question again?
So what do you like more? Yes. So are you a fan of the first act over the second act? Is there a favorite, part of the musical, since it is in 2 parts?
Right. Yeah. Definitely split into 2 parts. I like the way that the first half sets up everything, sets up how America, the colonies and everything came to be, and how the government was kind of going to be set up, which was super nice. Kind of gives a background on that. All the songs in there really just kind of set the stage for the relationships that were built in there, how they worked together, how they didn't. And then, the second act, man, it all just flows so well together. Obviously there's some craziness that happens in the second half. I mean, Hamilton got a little bit frisky with other people who wasn't his wife.
Women, though.
Women.
Let's go that well.
And then all of a sudden, like, he's got 2 Schuyler sisters who's whatever. But then all of a sudden, there's this third girl. Man.
Yeah, he got a little frisky.
He did.
He definitely strayed.
But then all of a sudden, he tells his buddies, hey, they're not really his buddies, I guess. They find this out, that money's been going somewhere, and they call him out on it. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, you see. And then he tells them, and then he's like, but this isn't going to go anywhere, right? And they're like, yeah, okay. And all of a sudden, he writes this thing about it and tells everybody. And it's like, bro.
Destroyed his whole life.
Yeah.
On his own. Like, he was very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was also, like, it caught them by surprise. He did it, too. Like,
right.
The Reynolds pamphlets is what we're talking about here.
I am talking about the Reynolds pamphlet, yes.
You cheat on your wife and you write a pamphlet.
And you write a pamphlet.
It's like, what would that be, 2020, you cheat on your wife and you write a blog?
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's just not cheat on our wives. Let's go with that.
I love that idea.
Yeah, Notes McGotes Podcast for not cheating on your wives.
We are not cheating on our wives ever.
Thank you, Rachel and Tina.
Yep.
Don't worry about that.
Thanks
we
for
are just in a basement recording a podcast.
Yep. Thanks for letting us do this.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. So
I feel like we should probably thank our wives in
we
every
should
single podcast
thank our
because
wives.
they do give us time to do this without yelling at us much.
Without yelling at us, and they support us in doing this.
Yeah, we got a permission.
Which is crazy.
So, all right. So kind of wrapping up on Hamilton, knowing that we've kind of gone through who's in it, the artists, our favorite artists, not so favorite artists, and going things back there. So if we had to tell a person, listen to this one track, and that will get them hooked into the entire musical, what is one track that would just be like, all right, yep, I listened to that one, I got to check the rest of this whole thing out. I got to spend 2.5 hours of my day looking at and listening to the rest of this.
Man, I got 2 that I'm thinking about. One is obviously more popular than the other, but I think for the music styles of both, I think they can draw in a person. And my first one is going to be My Shot.
Okay.
I think that one, I think can really draw somebody in. And then The Room Where It Happens, again, is just, I think, another one that kind of, again, pulled me in. I listened to the soundtrack before I went. That was the song for me that I was like, okay, like this is actually super cool. And I can get into this as it's like almost to the end of the show at that point. What about you?
I mean, I agree with both of those. Those are, I mean, you can't really pick a bad one. That's a fun thing about this. You can't really pick a bad song. I want to go title track, very first track of the album, because it sounds like something that it sets the stage so well and gives you kind of what the musical is going to be about from the get-go. And now you're riding the roller coaster. Like you're on. Like that's climbing the hill, hit the top, and 2.5 hours, let's go.
Yeah.
And it doesn't slow down from there.
No.
So it speeds up and keeps rolling and just you fly. But I want to go with that one. I kind of got 3, I guess. So
okay.
like,
yeah. What you got?
My other one's Right Hand Man, because I feel like it's just
gotta have your right hand man back.
I think it's just fun. Like it just gets there. And then my third one, and really I think Right Hand Man's kind of just like a honorable mention.
Yeah.
But definitely my second really one that would get there is What Did I Miss? And it only because it brings in Daveed Diggs so well. Just the fact that his ad-libbing abilities and what he's doing, because even during this song, he's questioned, all this stuff is going on. Hamilton's making a mess of all of these things, and where have you been? And he just goes, France.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't planned. He just said it. It was just like, and Lin-Manuel Miranda was just like, yes, that works.
Yeah.
But it was perfectly timed and great. And then he just goes off again, and it's just like this big show tune style song.
Yeah.
And like he's even in the play, he's like high kicking and going nuts, and it's fantastic because it just introduces him as from Lafayette, who was very stern, very gruff, very dirty, gritty, to Jefferson, who was very pompous, but also very just like on a different level than everybody else, and he knows it. But I think that will just tie you in. So really, the opening track of the first scene of the first set, and the opening track of the second set, I feel like that Miranda did really well of setting the table for you that you're riding this roller coaster on both of those. He just sets you up high, and you just go from there.
Right. Great. Yeah,
All
I love it. So normally, guys, this would be where we would take a quick break. I would throw in an ad, but we are so incredibly new that we don't have ads.
Got to make that money.
Yeah, so podcasting friends, if you want to send us your commercials or ads, you can send them our way. We would be happy to promote your podcast on our podcast during this time. But
all 5 listeners would
all
love to
5
listen
listeners, yes. No, this is going to be sweet. And so this is where we would do that. We would take a break. I would go to the bathroom. But we're just going to go right into it. So, Steve,
no breaks for us.
So this is the Notes McGotes Podcast. And so we are going to rate this album from 1 to 10 goats.
Love it.
Because we can.
Yes, we make the rules here.
We make the rules here. So
Not our wives.
Steve, right, this is our house.
Yes.
Maybe.
For now.
Until they join us on an episode.
And then they make us change it.
Yeah. But until then, we're going to give it 1 out of 10 goats. Where does this, with 1 being really bad and 10 being the best thing since money, I don't know, the Treasury Department, I don't know.
Like where you went
I'm
there.
trying to.
That was pretty
come
nice. I
up.
like it. Yes.
Yes, with the establishment of government, which who knows these days. But that's another podcast. Okay, so Steve, from 1 to 10, where do you rate Hamilton the musical?
Hamilton the musical is a solid 9 goats for me, sir. Solid 9.
What's that 1? Where's that 1?
It's the very first podcast, and I feel like if I try to give somebody a perfect score from the start, it all goes downhill from there. So, if you have a really high mountain to climb, and, I'm not sure if we can get there. I definitely know who's not going to get there. Looking at you, Billie Eilish.
Yeah, true that. There's going to be times when we agree to disagree, and that might be one of them. I don't know. We'll see.
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll see.
I can't wait.
We'll see. Okay, yeah, so I was actually going to go right there with you. I was going to give it a 9 goats out of 10 because this is episode 1 and I don't know what I want a 10 out of 10 to look like for me yet.
Totally not planned, by the way, guys.
No. I mean, if someone were to give it a 10 out of 10, I wouldn't disagree with them.
No.
Because it is amazing. This
Maybe
show
if it
is
was like podcast number like 12, they give it a 10.
Yeah, probably. Maybe. So yeah, that is it for episode 1 of the Notes McGotes podcast. We made it. Yeah, so we actually have social media. It's going to be great. At the time of this recording, we don't, but we will by the time this comes out. So you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at the Notes McGotes Pod. On Facebook, you can search the Notes McGotes Podcast, and if you want to email us, because you're old and don't know how to do Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you can email us at the Notes McGotes Podcast at gmail.com, and we would love some interaction from you guys, from our fans, our hundreds of non-fans, tens of fans.
Tens of fans.
Tens of fans.
Moms don't count, right?
Moms don't count. I think our wives will count.
Yeah,
we'll count our wives.
They'll probably be not fans for a while.
Yeah, yeah. But no, we want to hear what you guys think. We want to get your input on things that you guys listen to, because we don't want this to be just about what we listen to, because we
know that stuff.
We know that stuff. So we want to listen to things that interest you. So feel free to reach out to us. We would be happy to connect with you at some point. Once we get this thing rolling, we might have guests come on the show. At that point, who knows what that'll look like, but we're just going to kind of hang out and do that at that point. So we are Brandon and Steve, and this has been the Notes McGotes Podcast. You guys have a good rest of your night.
See you guys.